Welcome, everybody. This is what we're going to talk about today. Inflation, inflation, and inflation. We're going to show you how to hedge inflation, how others have hedged inflation throughout history. Because you know what? Although some people that were watching the video before we played about what levers the government would pull when Russia invaded Ukraine, I did that video last Monday and I called all three of those levers. They pulled every one of them by Wednesday of last week. And it's not that I'm so smart that I knew that. It's just that is what happens every time in history. So the same thing is true with what we're going to talk about today. And if any of you have ever seen Austin Powers, gold. Do you remember gold, member? That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about gold, precious metals, and how it can play a part of your portfolio to do exactly what you need to do today, and that is hedge the inflation monster. Steven? Steven is with us today, my partner in crime. Steven, can you do a quick thing of introducing our awesome guests here, tell a little bit about them, and then take it from there.
Yeah, awesome. So absolutely. You know, when inflation started running hot last year, we started looking at different ways to hedge against it, what history shows, how that works, what we can do, moves we can make right now. And so I started really digging into precious metals and learning more about them. I reached out to some people in my network that I've known for years. And I spoke to a good friend of mine, Jessie, who told me she had just started buying a bunch of gold and silver from this company that she did a bunch of research with. So she introduced me to the gentleman that was helping her do it. And come to find out, his name's Scott Zuckman. He's on here with us today. I don't know if you can get his video working or what, but he'll be on shortly. But Scott, I've known for years. I've known him for over 10 years. We bought real estate together. We've taught real estate together. So when I found out it was Scott that was doing a lot of this now with precious metals, and he could talk more about how his journey along with real estate has kind of led to where he is now and really heavy in the precious metals business now, it really said, wow, okay, this is definitely the people I want to work with. And then they introduced me to Tony and Chris and what they're doing with this company that they're buying precious metals from. And I was like, all right, I found the right place. So I did a bunch of research for a couple months and started buying the beginning of this year. So we're going to talk today. I'll let these guys introduce you themselves. They both have all three of them have very unique backgrounds. Chris teaches people how to fly helicopters and was a fighter pilot for helicopters. So just to give you a little preview there, what he's going to say, but so just incredible people, very powerful. And I just think that the timing right now, this is more important than ever. I mean, we talked about it on WTF this morning, how important precious metals are. And Dave Payerchin with me brought a real unique perspective of buying the mining companies and the junior mining companies and being able to trade in and out and make the money in precious metals that way. But owning the bullion, owning the collectibles, owning the actual product is how you preserve wealth, how you store wealth, and how you hedge against things like inflation. So what these guys are going to do is just give you a highlight. I mean, I've been buying this stuff for years, so I have stacks of it. I mean, these are what you call collectible coins. We'll talk a little bit about that. And I mean, I got stacks and stacks of it here on my desk. We also will talk a little bit about just buying bullion, different ways to do that. So things where the actual product involved, you can buy the coins, you can buy the rolls of it, you can buy it in these things like this. So tons of different ways like that. And then they make all these different kinds of cool little coins like they do things like where you can buy the little guys and then you get all like the rose gold, really neat little designs and things. So I have a blast with it. I love it. So I thought it was a really cool time to just with everything going on right now at the markets and all, I figured the timing was perfect. So Tony, Chris, Scott, thank you so much for being here, guys. And if you wouldn't mind just coming on and just introducing yourselves, that'd be excellent.
And real quick, before we do that, Steven, I'm going to send you my address where you can mail some of those awesome gold coins. Like you just ship them overnight. I'll reimburse you for shipping. Anyway, take it over.
Better yet, you actually have some in the mail coming to your place right now, Chris, you didn't even know about probably. But yeah, I mean, this is just some of the stuff I just pulled out of my safe real fast. I mean, it's all over right now, but yeah, it's awesome, man. So Tony, yeah, I see you're unmuted. Let's start with you, sir. How are you?
Outstanding, man. Chris, Steven, how about yourself, man?
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Man, it's a pleasure to get on such an amazing program. I love what I saw earlier with Chris, man. I mean, that guy knows what he's talking about. And yourself, I don't know if I have enough energy to keep up. I mean, you got a ton of energy over there, so we're gonna do our best to try to match that. But Definitely excited about being in this program to talk about, one of my favorite subjects as far as precious metals and why everyone should have it, why I believe that everyone should have it. Because again, I've been blessed to be buying it since 2008. That's when I first got into the arena as far as precious metals. And a friend of mine just gave me a phone call one day and said, listen, I don't know if you know anything about, silver, and that's where I started out. But he said, I'm just talking to the people that I love and said, listen, you need to be buying silver eagles. And that's what we initially started out with. And then as the years went by, I began to educate myself on why I believe that everybody should own gold and silver. So I'm blessed now to be able to have a nice collection of precious metals. I love these 100-ounce bars that I get from time to time, and not only just gold and silver coins, but collectible gold and silver coins. And I actually have, a couple of boxes over here, that I kind of store them in that, again, I just love the fact I get a chance to collect assets on a weekly basis now that allows me to hedge against inflation and even also multiply my wealth. So definitely excited about this particular program today to kind of share some of the things that I've been privy to over the last now 14 years.
Tony, forget Steven sending me any of those. I'm just going to give you my address. Those big ones, I like those. So yeah, we'll give you the address and you can ship those out this way.
It's just getting better and better, huh?
Okay. Did you want me to say hi? Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, how are you?
Okay, great. Well, again, I want to thank you and Chris for having us on here today. It's my honor. Of all the people that I've been watching in the markets, you two guys know your stuff. And it just shows me the kind of following that you have. They understand that you know what you're talking about, and they do and follow things you say to do. So I'm really pleased to see that you are at least sharp enough to be telling the right things. Even that little whiteboard behind Chris, where it was showing the buying power of the dollar. I definitely want to go into those numbers here a little bit later, but you did say you want to hear a little bit about my background. I started as a real estate investor in 1980. And it was at that time, I was 24 years old. So I believed that there was no way a job was ever going to cover me the way I wanted to live my lifestyle. I just knew. And I started reading books by a lot of entrepreneurs. And one of my biggest mentors in that regard was Robert Kiyosaki, who had preached the values of residual income and multiple streams of income. And I should say that because I know you guys preach that too. And the thing that hit me about residual income is the fact that it comes in whether you're working or not. And one of the things that really struck me early on was real estate. If I could buy one rental home a year for 20 years, I'd have 20 rental homes. And if I waited for 30 years, for example, they'd be free and clear. And I would be having maybe 30 homes in 30 years and paying down the mortgages by having the tenants do it. So you've talked about this on many, many episodes, and I know that your viewers understand that concept. But the thing that struck me as a 24-year-old kid was, hey, I'm only going to be in my 50s. People retire in their 60s or their 70s, and I could be ahead of the game, and I could be having, $30,000 a month of rental income or God knows what. And I said, maybe that'll take care of it. So I started buying real estate, and of course I couldn't help. I just kept buying more and more and more, and I had over 30 properties within 3 years. So if you know what you're doing and you follow the experts, you can get where you want to go a lot quicker. It compresses the time frame. The second thing that Robert Kiyosaki always talked about was precious metals, and how the fiat currency that Chris talked about is just what the government says it is. And once they took us off the gold standard, there was nothing to back it up except air. And it literally became not worth the paper it was printed on. So I started buying precious metals too. And I started with coin collections, looking for mercury dimes and buffalo nickels and wheat head pennies. And a lot of you on this call probably have done the same thing through your childhoods. And every time you see these little, but you know what? They're all beat up. and they're not collectible. And so the reality was I found that those things are barely worth more than the metal they were printed on. And that got me to thinking, why not just buy the metal? And of course, the gurus always talked about that. So I would buy things like just a $1 silver eagle, as an example. These started in 1986, and that's when I started doing my really serious collecting. And I would buy these eagles. And with the price of silver, it was pretty darn cheap, right? Then I started buying gold bullion in forms of gold, and then buying round coins, and like you know, held up earlier, your stack of 20 silver eagles, and then ramping up to things like my 100-ounce bars. And I just pulled one out, and I saw one of the people in the chat mention, hey, you should keep that stuff in a safe. Believe me, it's not out for everybody to see. So you take care of that. But they come in all denominations, 10 ounces, 5 ounces. Here's a 1-ounce gold bar. And the whole point I'm getting at here is not to show off my collection. That's the last thing I need to do. Because somebody's going to Google my address, and next thing you know, they're coming in with AK-47s and taking all my stuff. So like I said, don't keep it here. So don't come and get me. But the fact is, it's been a habit, forming a habit. I buy something every single month. And lately, for the last several years, Tony Hubbard, who you just heard from, introduced me about 8 years ago to the idea of buying collectible coins once a month. And just to give you, I'm not throwing this away in any shape or form, and I know we'll get deeper into it in our conversations, but it always intrigued me, and I found this out recently through a coin grading service. If you buy an MS-70, which is like a perfect shaped coin, an eagle, then what ends up happening is if you buy one of those every month, you're storing value, but they're collectible, so they go up faster than the bullion does. And most of your listeners, I sure know the difference between bullion and collectible. The main difference is bullion you can handle and it gets beat up, whereas collectible coins are graded and specific and short supply. That being said, if you bought one silver eagle MS-70 graded once a month since 1986 to today, you would have over $1.6 million of collectible coins. Whereas you, in terms of ounces, it only works out to something like 420 ounces. And so if you just did it based on the ounce value, you wouldn't have anywhere near that. But because they're collectible, you have leveraged. And I believe in leverage because of real estate. I always use bank loans, other people's money, and I leverage into precious metals through collectibles. And this company that I currently buy from, and you mentioned that you buy from, they have the best quality collectibles, and those go up. But you know how much you would have spent on that $1.6 million of silver eagles graded MS-70 if you bought them once a month at the price they were from 1986 to today? About $50,000. And if you look at the leverage, you turn 50 grand into 1.6 million. There's no question. That's better than a lot of real estate does. It's certainly better than the stock market does, unless you happen to get one of those crazy ass stocks early on that have gone through the roof. But nobody knows that. Nobody has a crystal ball, but we do. And the crystal ball is gold and silver always go up over time, and collectibles go up way higher, way faster. So my background has been real estate investing, precious metal collecting, and I've traveled around the world teaching people the principles of wealth. And it's my honor to be on with you and Chris here today. So I'll stop at that.
That was great. Scott, I think one thing you mentioned there that I don't think a lot of people think about when they're actually buying physical gold or precious metals is dollar cost averaging. You know, you said every month you're buying more. I mean, literally, like, I do this every day, and I like a light bulb went off. I'm like, duh, of course that's how you should be doing it. You know, that's how I do crypto. That's how I've always built all wealth, is just slow and steady. So I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, a lot of times when we think gold, we think, oh, I got to have a bunch of money to buy a bunch of gold. You're just buying little chips here and there. And then again, my address is in the private messages.
Exactly, Chris. If you don't mind me saying, you talk about crypto, it's the same concept. No, who's going to afford $40,000 for one Bitcoin? Most people don't have that kind of money just shoved away. So what they do is they buy fractions of it. right? And so if you want to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, you buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. Well, our resources are the same for gold and silver. You don't have to buy $2,000 for 1 ounce. If you want to buy a half an ounce, buy a half an ounce. You want to buy a tenth of an ounce or 100th, anything you want. So those are available, and it's very easy for anybody to get involved now.
And there's one other thing too, that's never going to die with precious metals, specifically gold and silver, is the exchangeability of it. I mean, if everything shits the bed, if the government outlaws Bitcoin, comes up with a digital currency and forces you to go, which is the big risk, but probably not anytime in the near future, gold coin or silver coins will always be able to be used as a means of exchange. It's happened all the way since before Christ. There's no reason why it's not going to continue on. So that's the one thing I like about it is, although the government says gold is not a means of exchange in the true sense of money, but we all know we would exchange gold for things that we need: bread, food, water, the essentials to live. I mean, hey, listen, I love Bitcoin, but I mean, it might be difficult to find people that will exchange Bitcoin for water or for food, or when you want the Big Mac, they might just not take the Bitcoin, but they certainly probably would take a piece of gold or the ring off your finger, or however that goes. So it's just important to understand like the differences between these different types of assets. And Scott, I appreciate you going into that.
Sure.
Yeah, and the one thing real fast too, I'll just mention is one of the things that I really liked when you guys showed me was I don't have to buy a whole gold ounce of gold. Like there's an app that this company has that I'm buying from now, and Chris is buying from too, that you literally pulled up like your Coinbase account, like the crypto account. And if I want to buy $20 worth of gold or $20 worth of silver, I just hit a button and it'll put that little fractional amount into my app. Basically, it's hooked to my bank account, just like Coinbase. So it really opens up a whole new world of being able to dollar cost average in, no matter where you are. And we talk about that a lot, right, Chris? I mean, a lot of the principles we teach work for very, very wealthy people, the JPs, the Morgans, the Vanderbilts, but it also works for that person that's, just looking to get ahead or be able to put their family in a better position moving forward. So having those options of flexibility to me is huge.
It truly is. In fact, we're maybe jumping the gun a little bit, but that online app that we use for the company, it's only for the company, so you can't like download an app. And I'm sure people are probably thinking, go download it. It's part of what we call your back office. But that being said, another feature of it is, I know your listeners have crypto. And a lot of them are struggling with the high fees of converting their crypto. One of the things that's really special about this electronic wallet is you can move your crypto into it just as securely, but then you could buy gold and silver with your crypto with no conversion fees at the best price for the crypto. Also, you can convert it into cash. And so you could then wire the cash or electronically transfer the cash to other people or to your account. So today's technology is allowing for things that are unheard of in the past. And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. And so just a real quick question. Can everybody on tell that Scott Zuckman was a speaker trainer for many, many years, because he wants to take over the show? I'm just kidding, Scott. I'm just kidding. I love you, man. But I do want to get to Chris, because we have Chris, and I love your background and story, Chris. So how's it going, sir?
Good. Hey, thanks, Steven, we appreciate you having us on. And I really feel like I'm part of an incredible panel here. I come to the entrepreneurial space a good bit late in life. And, Chris, I got a question for you. Are you in Williamson, New York?
Waynesville, New York.
Waynesville, New York. Okay.
Yeah, so
Waynesville,
our office is Waynesville. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's upstate. Okay. So just under Buffalo and just under Niagara Falls there.
Have you ever heard of the town of Lyons?
I can't say I have.
It's in between Syracuse and Rochester, just above Geneva and just south of Sodus.
I know right where that is.
That's where I grew up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not much up there.
So,
there's a lot of snow and a lot of cold, but outside of that, like, what did you do?
Well, I grew up water skiing on the Finger Lakes, and I got out of there as soon as I could.
The Finger Lakes are beautiful, though.
Yeah, they really are. So, I joined the service right out of high school. I struggled through high school, and I decided to just jump right in, go do something, get away. I knew I didn't want to work in the factory in the town that I grew up in. And I also knew that I didn't want to go to college. And I went later in life, but I knew I didn't want to go then because I struggled so much in school. And I joined the military. I joined the infantry. I joined because my grandfather was in World War II. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge. And so I just signed up, raised my right hand, and joined the infantry. I did that for 4 years, and then I became an instructor. And I was a drill instructor for 3 years. And then I really found out that that walk-in wasn't any fun. You know, I did it. I liked it. I enjoyed it at the time, but I knew I didn't want to do it forever. And so I heard about helicopters, and I went to flight school. I got accepted into flight school and became a Black Hawk pilot in 1989. And so I've been flying Black Hawks over 30 years. And I really like what I do. But I tell you what, you know, when you look at Robert Kiyosaki, and you look at the cash flow quadrant, man, I'm that guy that was on the left side of the quadrant. I'm talking working for somebody else. And then I also tried my hand at the lower left side as self-employed, and still while working though, I had a lawn care business for close to 7 years that I ran, and then an auto detailing business for close to 2 years. And I was just crazy busy running 2 businesses during the day, teaching flight school at night. And I was introduced to the company that we're a part of about 5 years ago. And I tell you what, I've got this mentor, Tony. You heard him speak. And I tell you, he just has taught me so much about the entrepreneurial space. And it's stuff that I didn't know about. And so I think that's what I bring to the table, hopefully, is the fact that, you know, I had no experience in this space prior to the company we're in. And I had no experience in gold and silver prior to 5 years ago. And so I decided to learn the skills that are associated with what we're doing. And man, I really have had a lot of fun doing this. I've been a part of it now 5 years. I have an incredible collection, and I'm just socking it away. Just like we talked about, you don't have to have $40,000 up front to buy one Bitcoin. And so I've been buying a little bit of gold and silver bullion each month, and collectibles as well. And I love the fact that, you know, I can do this, and I can do it while I still have a full-time job, because I still work for the government. I've been working for the United States Army for 39 years. I work as a Department of Army civilian now, and I still train people to fly Blackhawks at night with night vision goggles. And so what we do here is we educate why it's important to own precious metals. And I think the very best thing that we can share with a person, you know, it's a 1 ounce gold coin. The very best thing that we can share with a person is that precious metals keeps up with inflation. It's the only thing that keeps up with inflation. And, you know, Chris, you just talked about it a moment ago. It's been used as a means of trade for over 5,000 years. And there's no other product out there that keeps up with inflation like gold and silver. And so, you know, there's a lot of critics out there, a lot of people out there that will try to put it down and say, oh, you know, it's not really a great means of trade. But folks, this is the real deal. And the collectibles, like Scott talked about, that $1.6, $1.7 mistake, you know, history tends to repeat itself. So I'm buying one of these MS-70s every single month because I don't want to make that $1.2 million mistake. And we've got a lot of other options as well. You know, we talked about the collectible portion of it, series and things like that, and stories. Man, I am buying multiple collector's coins every single month because I've done the research. I've looked at it. Historically, these coins have always gone up in value. And so for me, we've planted our flag in a really cool company, and we love being a part of it. It just keeps getting better and better and better. So I'm glad to be on this panel with you. I feel like the little guy here, but I'm super glad to be on this panel. So back to you, Stephen.
Yeah, Mr. Naugle. I think you're muted. Mute.
Sorry about that. One of the things, I was just out in Utah at a mastermind, and I had the liberty of listening to a gentleman who managed about several funds, but about $28 billion. And the biggest thing, he's retired now, but the biggest thing he talked about was the dollar and how the Fed will do anything to protect the dollar. And the dollar is the greatest product ever created on earth because it is the one that they fully control, and it's the only product that people will die for. People will kill, they'll do just about anything for the dollar. And you're seeing that all the time. But the funny thing is we're not talking about the dollar today, and we see what's happening. I mean, if you look at my chart, I mean, 1913, when the Fed was created, $100 was worth $100. 2019, $100 is worth $3.87. That's the impact of inflation. It's exactly what inflation does. It is a hidden tax. It will not stop. The government does not want it to end, contrary to what a lot of people believe, because you're watching the fake news and they're telling you, oh, the Fed is going to raise interest rates to curb inflation. Bullshit. I call their bluff. That is not what they're doing. They are raising interest rates because they know that there's something coming and they got to get that needle up so that they have something, a lever to pull to recombat another recessionary or depressionary period. So don't you think for 1 second that the government is trying to slow inflation down. The government wants inflation so they can pay all that debt back at pennies on the dollar. So make no two ways about that. So if you think that the government's going to be on your side and they're going to do everything they have to curb inflation, you just I don't even know what station you're watching, but just keep watching it, because you are living the biggest lie there ever was. Secondarily, gold. If you really think about gold, what did gold do that made the government pretty much make it illegal? Actually, I think they did in 1933. And gentlemen, you are the experts in gold, but they made gold illegal. And then in 1971, Nixon took us off the gold standard. Both of those, well, the taking it off the gold standard because they needed an unlimited printing press because of the inflation, and also countries were hoarding gold, and that was affecting everything in the States. So we just took it off, opened the printing press, which you can do when the dollar is what crude is traded in. But gold, all of a sudden, now was not part of the reserve. So the fiat dollars that we enjoy today, the money, the dollar, is pretty much only valued based on what the government says it's valued at. That's it. It's the only value behind it. Gold is a tangible value, is something that will always hold its value, but the government doesn't like gold in a sense because it does challenge the dollar. And remember, the number one goal, the number one job of the Federal Reserve, which is not the United States government, it is a private entity. It is the central banks, the wealthiest families on earth. Many of you would think it's the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. I would say it's Satan, but nobody's keeping track. Their job is solely to protect the dollar, and they will do anything to do that, which means they will probably make Bitcoin illegal, just like they made gold illegal, and they will come out with a digital dollar. So gold has a much, I think, bigger picture in every single one of our futures, more so than just hedging inflation. Although that is what gold really does well, it has a much bigger piece, because when we go to this digital dollar, and Mark, make no two ways about it, eventually we will, then gold is going to probably skyrocket in value, because it will be one of the last tangible means of exchange or means of trade or whatever you want to call it. So folks, this is a lesson that you all need to pay attention to. And the best part is with BYOB, everything we talk about with you becoming a bank and you treating your money the same as a bank, everything we teach can be done in any one of the sources of money you have. Okay. You can move money into a self-directed IRA and buy physical gold. You can buy physical gold with your infinite banking policies. There's so many ways you can play this, but I just wanted to make sure that we were very clear as to what gold is and why it is so vitally important, contrary to what the government will tell you, because clearly they don't want it around and there's nothing they can do about it. So I don't know, gentlemen, take it over from there. I'm kind of going on a tangent here.
Yeah, no, I love some of the comments, so keep them coming. Somebody said an ounce of gold or silver is always an ounce. A dollar is worth less with every percentage inflation increases. So as dollars go down, it takes more to buy that constant ounce. And you're absolutely spot on with that. And when you couple that with Chris is saying with crypto and how they can just end Bitcoin, and crypto really, it just follows the stock market. It seems Bitcoin is just tracking it, where, gold and silver, gold especially right now, is really pumping right now, which is awesome to see. And, Cindy's saying, can you imagine what 30 pieces of silver was worth 2,000 years ago? So what I want to do here is I have a couple questions coming in, guys. So I want to get to, kind of the difference in the bullion and the collectibles and, maybe owning those. But before we do that, can we hit a couple questions? Are you guys good with that? As we go, we'll kind of hit questions. All right, awesome. So let me throw this question out there. Is how safe are the private vaults? Do any of you guys know anything about kind of where the money's held, like about the private vaults?
I'll start, and I think Tony could take over too. There's different kinds of quote unquote private vaults. All right. You have some companies that are nothing but off-site protected gold and silver storage facility. They usually have heavy security and a lot of tactics they use to try to protect your money and keep it segregated and separate and so forth. High costs for that. And then there's shipping back and forth. If you ever want to take physical possession, there's a lot of people who don't believe that you own anything unless it's in your hand. So in other words, if you're storing a bunch of metal, you don't own it because somebody else is holding it. And if you look at what's happened in places like Canada, with them just getting into vaults and taking money, people confuse those kind of vaults. Those are safe deposit boxes at banks. Safe deposit boxes at banks are not safe. The government can go in, seize any asset in anybody's safe deposit box. The company we buy from, they have a private vault that is the highest tech security, and they audit with professional auditors every single week. Once a week it's audited to make sure what's supposed to be in there is in there to the milli ounce, and the right percentages of gold, silver, everything. So that is accounted for and it's safe, but it's a third party. It is not where a government knows you have it there, if that makes any sense. So in other words, a safe deposit box, all they have to do is check with your bank and they know what you have, and they can pull your box and they can jimmy it open and take everything they want out of it. They can do that with your accounts and drain them, but not with an off-site private vault that nobody has a reason to go after them, if that makes sense. Tony, if you want to add to that, feel free.
100%, because what most people don't know is that you know, a lot of people have been taught for years to keep money in the bank and things of that nature, and they don't know the dangers that if something happens to that bank, then it becomes the property of that bank, because possession is 9/10 of the law. And so for individuals that understand that privacy and they really appreciate the privacy, they go into private vaults. And you know, and what most people don't understand is it's less than about 15 private vaults in the United States. And this company that we're all a part of, that's one of the benefits of having a membership, that you do have a private vault, that they're not requesting all the information that a bank has, because in a bank, you know, what you have in there is reported to the IRS, it's reported to the government. And so that's one of the preferences for having a private vault, because if you're not comfortable keeping a certain amount of precious metals at your home. And so again, I love the fact that I have the option of the private vault, as far as, you know, and at some of my own resident, if I need to liquidate it, you know, at the drop of a hat. So again, I definitely love the private vault as a major reason why the government doesn't have the control that it has over the banks.
Yeah. And so that's a great answer. I appreciate it, guys. So I'm having a lot of people asking, you know, what the company is, how do I get started with this? Don't worry, guys. We're going to go over all that with you. We're all of us that are on here right now are all buying from the same company. The name of the company, 7K Metals, but we'll talk more about that in a second. But the reason I brought Scott, Chris, and Tony on is these are the guys that helped me, show me exactly how to start buying silver on a monthly basis and how to start buying it in the private vault, buying fractions of the gold in my own account and all of that. So what they've done by coming on here today is they've committed that anybody on here on this call, they're going to help you do the exact same thing that they showed me to do. So don't worry, what we're going to do is I'm going to send an email to everybody that's interested with the exact steps on how to get started. And then anybody that wants to do this, Scott is actually committed. Scott and Tony are going to do a special training for you, I believe this weekend on Saturday, but I'll send you all the details for that. So don't worry, we're not going to throw all this out there and leave you on your own. We do have a plan to help anybody that wants to get started. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So, because I'm just getting a lot of questions coming in about that. But before I do get into that, I do want to talk, like I said, a little bit about the different types of coins. And this is what Chris was asking. So is it a good idea that we have collectibles for keeping value and profit, but also have some old coins in case the shit hits the fan to barter with, that kind of thing? What's your strategy look like?
Go ahead, Chris. Why don't you share that with, because again,
right.
you
Hey,
definitely know the answers to the test.
I tell you, man, you know, when you look at some of that stuff, you look at some of the older coins, they're not 100% or not 999 when it comes to silver. And so I do have a few old coins, but that is definitely not my focus. My focus is the gold and silver bullion You know, we got the American Silver Eagle. It's the most sought after coin in the world. I'm buying tubes of that on a regular basis. Other things as well. I buy raw material. We're talking about just a kilo of silver. And so I'm buying new stuff. And so when it comes to the coins itself, you know, we have access to mint fresh. We're talking things right off the mint. You know, a 7K works with 12 or 5 of the 12 authorized dealers and also some of the mints now. And they pass on some of that savings to us on certain things. And the collector's coins, they have this team of individuals that find rare and unique coins out there. So when we're buying these collector's coins, they're finding the ones that are really, really good, that have the potential to go up a lot quicker. You know, like Scott had mentioned earlier, you know, gold and silver bullion, and we kind of talked about this. Gold and silver bullion keeps up with inflation, but Scott had mentioned that the collectibles, and that's really where our focus is in 7K, is the collectibles are what tend to go up in value quicker. So we look at gold and silver bullion as a defense, and we look at gold and silver collectibles, anything that's graded, and especially an MS 70, mint state 70, it's the highest rating a coin can receive. That's what we're looking at, because those MS70s tend to go up in value a whole lot quicker than other items out there. And so that's our big focus here. You know, the coin collecting is the most fun. We've got multiple benefits being a part of 7K, but the coin collecting is what's most fun, and especially the graded coins.
Yeah, no, I love the defensive offensive strategy, because it's almost like you have the defenses for the inflation aspect, just for the long-term growth and the generational wealth and legacy aspect. And then the collectibles, you know, for maybe some of the better profits and see what you can do. And like you said, they are a lot of fun. I mean, my 6-year-old comes in and plays with these things like they're cars, you know, he likes cars, but G.I. Joes, whatever you want to say. So that part's really cool. And then, you know, the other offensive aspect would be what I'm going to talk more about Dave Burchin with, is trading, you know, the mining stocks and things like that. But the offensive side, but, you know, this with the defensive and the collectibles is what this is all about today. And I absolutely love that. Yeah. So with that being said, did you want to add something, Tony? Go ahead.
Yes. One of the things, again, I really appreciate the fact that you guys have this program every single week to educate the masses. Because one of my mentors taught me years ago, and I also, you know, Robert Kiyosaki is one of my mentors when it comes to creating wealth. But one of my mentors taught me years ago is that the reason why everyone should understand and know about what real money is because what you don't know about money, your ignorance becomes someone else's wealth. And so that's the reason why we should all know about because unfortunately, August the 15th, 1971, when Nixon took the entire world off of the gold standard, because all of the world's currency was tied to the US dollar and the dollar was backed by gold. For the last 50 plus years, there are a lot of people that have been bamboozled to think that this is real money. And this is just currency, ladies and gentlemen. It's fiat currency. And fiat comes from a Latin word, which means something that is circulated by force. So the bottom line is this is only money as long as the government tells you that it is, until the day they tell you that it's not. But, you know, I love the fact that this company we've been talking about, you know, 7K Metals, is that one of the most valuable things that the company offers is that financial education as far as precious metals. Because the truth of the matter is, I have yet to run into anybody that didn't believe owning gold and silver was not a good thing. But there's a reason why only 11% of the population actually owns physical gold and silver. And so when they began to do the research about it, here's the reason why. Because buyers of gold and silver, they fall in 1 of 3 categories. You have the educated buyer, those that already been buying it and they know the reason why they're buying it. And then you have the inspired, you know, those are the individuals that may have bought something every now and then from a pawn shop or whatever, and so they would like to do better. But unfortunately, 90% of the buyers that are out there, they fall in the category of the confused and the frustrated, because the reason why they're paralyzed not to buy gold and silver, because in their mind, when you mention gold and silver, they check out, because in their mind, it is a rich man's game and a game of kings. But once you get educated on it, and you recognize that now that there is a way for you to start saving in gold and silver every month based upon what you can afford, then the magic takes place and you begin to educate yourself on what real money is. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm passionate about everybody should own it, because I think you guys understand this concept that in order to create real wealth, in order to dine with the classes, you have to cater to the masses. So you have to let the masses know why everybody should own physical gold and silver. And so again, I love that, man. Back to you, Stephen.
Yeah, definitely. So if you look real fast, this is something that Chris put together. I don't know what, Chris, maybe 6 months ago or so. We call it the all seasons portfolio, just a spread, very light on equities. Obviously, you guys all know that we are very, don't really believe the stock market's gonna stay up where it is very long. The treasury strategy, alternative investments, things like the private money lending, of course, a lot in our private banking systems. But, this is where today's discussion comes in is, having those precious metals, having that gold and silver, part of that all seasons portfolio. Now, this is just a guideline to keep in mind. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. I can tell you that I'm a little bit heavier in precious metals than I am in treasuries. I'm a little bit heavier in private lending than I am just in cash. And actually these two kind of go together because most of this money is coming from my private bank, and I'm literally in zero equities right now. Now I do have a little bit in crypto. I guess you could pile that in, but so just to show what you're saying, Tony, I mean, it's very important to have that balanced portfolio.
Hey, I'd like to come in on that too, because I agree with both of you. And one of the things you had on that pie chart was cash. I always believed in having maybe 80% of my portfolio in cash, but that has totally changed, because if you just do the math, the cash is not buying what it used to. And the longer you hold it, the less you're getting, and you're actually losing money, if you will. So I've been converting cash to, in my case, precious metals. I also have zero in equities. I don't believe in that, and I agree 100% with your guys' take on it. It's a gamble, and I'm not a big gambler. I don't see any gamble in precious metals. I do see, though, according to Chris Latin, what he mentioned is so right on the money, is collectibles. People just don't understand, because they think if you have an 1892 Morgan silver dollar that's graded MS60, that's worth a lot of money. But what you're going to find out is an MS60 is almost the same thing as something that's been in circulation forever. It's almost bullion. The actual price of that special coin isn't any different than the coin of the metal that it's made from. So it doesn't matter that it came out in 1892. But you could have a coin that's minted in 2021 or 2022 that is in MS70 perfect condition, and that will sell for many times higher than bullion. And as bullion goes up, then the discrepancy goes up, and that's a leverage play. And I always believe in leverage. So I did want to, again, cover that collectibles is different than bullion, but you can have both. And either, if you're going to store something, you want to store these big bullion chunks. You don't store collectibles, in a safe deposit box by any stretch.
Right. And Scott, that's a great point, and that's why I rely on you guys so much. Chris, Scott, Tony, and the team that you guys have put together is, hey, what should I be buying? And that brings me to, there's a lot of places to buy precious metals out there, golds and silvers. Have you guys ever bought from like a place that was, selling you stuff that wasn't worth anything? Or, I know there's a lot of like scammy type stuff out there. So do you guys have experience with that? I mean, luckily I've never been through that, but have you ran into that? Or I guess kind of, why are we buying from 7K as opposed to other places, would you say?
Yeah, I like to tell one of my horror stories. Before I started buying, actually around about 2008, after Hurricane Ike, my family, we were displaced for about a year and a half. We were living in hotels and apartments until our home was taken care of. And I remember being up late one night, about 2:30 in the morning, watching a commercial. And I thought I was getting, pure 0.999 physical gold and silver. What I missed listening to was gold plated, because $2,000 later, $3,000 later, I get something in the mail that's worth about $200 because I didn't know, so my ignorance became somebody else's wealth. So.
I'd like to piggyback on that, And my brother had an experience, and my brother Joe, he's watching right now. He's part of our team as well, and he's a fantastic leader here. But the thing is, he had one of those experiences where he purchased from just a website, and the fact was, when the coin came, he recognized right away that it was not real, and so he took the appropriate actions. Now, he wasn't able to do that until he already had the education that we have here. And that's one of the things we want to emphasize, is that we have an education process that comes free with your membership. We have a buyer certification that teaches us about the 5 top reasons why people buy gold and silver. It teaches us about the economy, what's happening with the dollar. It also teaches us about what metals to buy based off of our own goals. And then we also have besides the buyer certification, we have a collector's training. So we learn the differences between a proof 70, an MS 70, and a gem, and a uncirculated coin. And we learn all those things. And again, that's free with our membership. And then if a person wants to build a business with us, we have an academy, a business builder academy that teaches us how to do the business. And so all of this training is free. And so I see some of the comments that are coming through the chat and through the Q&A on, what should I buy, or how should I buy it, and how do I liquidate it? Folks, that is all covered in the training that is free with your membership.
And I guess that's a good time to kind of say, this is a membership-based site. So it's like, your Costco or your Amazon Prime, so there is a membership involved in that. And maybe we talk about that right now. If you guys could kind of lace out, I know you buy dealer direct pricing, not much, a bunch of spot and things like that. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Scott, you want to take that one?
Well, I could start, but I think Tony you should also put in your 2 cents. So here's the thing. I also want to say something about the last question, which is, there's one other thing that happens online. A lot of people think they want to go explore. I want to find gold and silver online. So they just search, and then the very top resellers will show up. These are brokers, and they show up in the Google search, JM Bullion, AppMex, there's so many of them. But what you'll find is there's a lot of people out there that try to sell gold and silver based on the spot price, and they don't even own it. They will turn around, mark it up to you so that you can then pay them for your, let's say you want a 100-ounce silver bar. You say, I want that 100-ounce silver bar. And they say, here's what the price is. And it's like way over spot price, right? Then what they do is they turn around, they go out to their dealers, and they get a low price, and then they arbitrage the spread. And I know you've talked about arbitrage on your webinars before, but it's playing the difference in values for profit in the middle. And that's what they do. And then if you don't pay them, they don't buy the gold and silver to fill your order, no skin off their nose. But if you do pay them, then you might be waiting weeks before they even ship it to you, because they're playing the up and down of daily spot prices to try to get a better deal and maximize their profit. And some of these guys will tell you that, I'm sorry, we couldn't fulfill your order. We got sold out, even though they never had it in the first place, because the price maybe went higher too fast, and when you tried to lock it in, you couldn't get it. So I don't want to use the word scam, but I want a word that's very bait and switch and very deceptive, if that makes some sense. And I don't like that. I know that 7K only sells metal they have. So if it's not in stock, you're told right up front, doesn't exist, can't have it. But that which they have, you can choose to buy, and it's pulled right away. Same with bullion. If you just wanted to do that, it's an instantaneous press of a button. The quote is 24/7, and they'll store up to 25,000 worth for free. So those kind of things fit in. As far as your earlier question, why the membership model? Was that basically what you were asking, or was it a different spin on that, Chris? Stephen.
No, I was just it came up about, how to buy this, and it is a membership like an Amazon or something. So.
Well, it is. And there's a annual membership fee. And that gives you the education. It gets you the right to buy the precious metal at mint direct prices. You bought it. I bought it. Chris Naugle has bought it. Chris Latin has bought it. You know, we know there are no better prices. So that part works. It's instantaneous too. You press a button, bam, it's in your vault. If you want to pull it out and have it mailed to you, they'll mail it to you. You can take physical possession. You know, and I say mail. They don't use the postal service. No, it's FedEx. So, and it's insured and all of that. But the membership model makes for a great way for people to handle buying as much or as little. I saw somebody put in the question, well, how little gold can you buy? Depends. You want to buy $20 worth? Buy $20 worth. You want to buy $10 worth, buy $10 worth. All you have to do is shift money from cash in your wallet over to how much you want to spend, and bam, it's in your wallet. So there is no minimum, no maximum, and the membership allows you to have that privilege. Tony, you can embellish a little bit on the membership model if you wish.
100%. Again, I would say the major attraction to this membership model is that it simplifies the process of buying gold and silver. And one of the things you'll find out in that buyer certification, that collector's training, that before you make your first purchase, you can start making intelligent buying decisions. Because at the end of the day, it really boils down to 5 major reasons why the most successful people on the planet actually buy physical gold and silver. The first reason is that they hedge against inflation, poor government decisions, and possible economic collapse. And Chris, you covered that in the opening monologue. The second one is wealth accumulation, and then you have wealth protection, and then, last but not least, you have to diversify your portfolio. You talk to any financial advisor, any financial planner, they'll tell you it's never good to be 100% in anything. And then last but not least, my favorite, which is the coin collecting piece. And so the beautiful thing about this membership, and it's an annual membership like a Sam's or Costco, for an entire year, you can buy as little as you want, as much as you want, whenever you want, and get an education on top of that. And like Chris talked about, if you need to earn some additional revenue as an entrepreneur, there is a possibility for you to do that part as well. So I love the membership, and currently right now, we're going on 6 years. We're in 7 different countries around the world. So I love the fact I can educate the masses and put individuals in a better position when it's all said and done, with real tangible assets showing up on their mailbox on a weekly or even on a monthly basis. Back to you, Stephen.
Yeah, no, and so, today we're concentrating on buying gold and silver, the advantages of precious metals in your portfolio. But just so you guys know, these guys do represent the company as well. So they've actually turned their experience and what they, Scott with his background in training and coaching and real estate investing for 30 years. And Chris, your experience in coaching and training and helicopter piloting, everything you've done in the military. And Tony, with your background, you guys have just gotten so into it where now you share this and actually have created businesses out of essentially this model right here, this membership model. So there is that aspect of it. I didn't want to talk about that today, but I do know now that I'm watching some of the comments come in, I see a lot of you that I talk to on the phone a lot. I know a lot of your situations, and I know you're looking for other ways to make income, some money on the side, a side hustle, that kind of thing, whether it's to save on taxes by having a business or something like that. So, maybe that's something that's worth having a conversation with Scott or Tony about as well. I mean, I don't know that. I'm buying the silver with it, but if that makes sense to you too, when you email me, snaggy@chrisnaugle.com, I'm going to send you a detailed instructions on how to start buying the gold and silver with this membership. But if you want to have that conversation, I mean, Scott or Tony, would you mind hopping on the phone with somebody and talking to them a little bit more about that?
Not a problem, man.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So just keep that in mind as well, everybody. If that's something you might want to chat about as well, we can definitely talk about that. And yeah, everybody that's texting me, I'll send that over.
Probably a good thing to bring out, Stephen, is that, with our company, there's 88% of the people that are part of our company are just taking advantage of the member benefits. We've got all these member benefits. There's a lot of them that we haven't even talked about. We've just talked about gold and silver bullion and collectibles, but there's other things as well. And then there's about 12% of us that share it, that are working for that additional stream of income. And for me, that's been significant, the additional stream of income has been significant, and I know that's for a later time, but it's made a huge impact on my life, and so it doesn't appeal to everybody. So just realize that the majority of the people that join our company are just taking advantage of those benefits. They're just buyers, they're just customers, and that says something about the company right there, that you don't have to be a distributor, you don't have to be an associate to promote the business. You don't have, that's not the focus. The focus is the member benefits that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so everybody knows, the membership's $200 or $500, depending on which membership's appropriate for you. And we'll send, and when I send you the email, I'll kind of lay out the breakdown of which one might be appropriate. If you have questions, we'll hop on the phone and answer those questions for you. Make sure you get into the right membership for you. But I'm getting a couple of questions coming in. Maybe we can hit. So how do you buy PMs? I'm assuming they mean the coins. Cash, credit card, bank account.
All of the above.
Yeah. I'm not sure what PM means, but definitely you can buy gold and silver with, cash by transfer, ACH. You can use credit card, any form.
And another benefit, Stephen, if they in the last 2 years, because there are a lot of crypto enthusiasts out there. Once you have a membership, and we initially just started out with just Bitcoin 2 years ago, but now you can actually load some of the major cryptos that are out there, Ethereum, Bitcoin, into your electronic wallet. We call it the sound money wallet. And then once you load it in there, you can now actually buy physical gold and silver. I mean, 2 years ago, they were, the crypto enthusiasts with Bitcoin were buying about maybe 25,000 a week. Now it's about $250,000 a week that individuals are converting their crypto into physical gold and silver. And they love the fact that they make it a seamless process.
Also, it's private. If you have put crypto in, nobody knows where it's coming from or what wallet it's in, as you all know if you own crypto. But then to convert it to gold with no fee, and just at the true value of the crypto when you do the conversion, and the true value of the gold and silver when you do the conversion, and then they hold it in the private vault, which is not a safe deposit box like a bank is, then nobody really knows where your assets are except you, which is a nice thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so PMs are precious metals. Duh. Oh my goodness. It's been a long day already. What do you want? Chris, I know you just came off a red eye yourself. I don't think you've slept yet. So you have an excuse, but I got no excuse there.
Got about 3 hours.
I got no excuse. So Cindy was just asking, how do you compare costs compared to Glint? I'm not familiar with Glint, but I will say I did look at some different prices when I started. It seems very competitive. You guys can probably tell me more if you know specifics, but to me, it's more important knowing I'm buying in the way that works for me, and I'm buying from a reputable company that I'm going to get what I pay for. So I'm willing to pay a little bit of a premium, and I don't even know if you are paying a premium or not from these from 7K, but maybe you guys can expound on that a little bit.
Sure. Actually, how the process works, to understand how that when it comes to bullion, 9 times out of 10, we're going to be the best price out there, because there are 7 and 9 steps from the time gold and silver is mined from the earth to the time it goes to the end consumer. But basically how the process works is this: when gold and silver is mined from the earth, once it's delivered to the mint and they turn it into coinage, the mint sells it at the lowest price. They're what is called 13 authorized purchasers who are licensed by Congress to buy millions of dollars worth of metals every single month from the largest mints of the world: gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. No one gets it at a lower price than those 13. So if you and I hope to get it at the best price, we buy from the 13. The challenge with that, to play that game, you got to buy at least $20,000 a month to be in that conversation. So most people can't play that game. So the 13 typically sell to the largest wholesalers, who sell to brokers, who sell to retailers, who typically sell to you and I. And you best believe they mark it up every time along the way. Here's 7K Metals model. Because we're now selling millions of dollars every month to the members, we buy from 5 of those 13 at the best price. And on the bullion, on the wholesale product, we pass on the savings to you without marking you up a penny. So you're paying what the company pays. That's why 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the best price. But here's the key to that. No minimums and maximum. Because if you've ever bought from some of the largest suppliers out there, and there's some great companies out there, the AppNext, the JM Bullion of the world, but to get their advertised best price, you'll see a common phrase on their website, as low as, okay? What that means is that you're not gonna buy one coin and get this price. You're not gonna get volume discount by buying one coin or one bar. With us, the price is the price, whether you buy one coin or whether you buy 1,000. So when individuals understand how the game is played, they love the fact that once you're a member, everybody gets volume discount. And so that's how we're able to pass on that savings, because we're buying from 5 of the largest suppliers at the best price. And one of the benefits of your membership, we pass on that savings to you. So on the bullion, we're not marking up a penny. You're paying what the company pays. And I love that aspect of it, man.
Yeah, excellent. And I saw some different questions coming in about taxes and reporting taxes. So, we obviously talk a lot about self-directed IRAs. And so, if you're buying silver for the long hold, for the long term, and you're looking to avoid things like taxes, it might be worth buying some of that silver and gold within that self-directed IRA. Now, you got to be very careful. You can't just go out and buy bullion. You can't just go out and buy, random collectibles and things like that. It has to be specific types of silver. American Silver Eagles, for instance, are one of the ones that are allowed in a self-directed IRA, but it does need to be held on an off-site basically vault. Delaware Dispensary, for instance, is a company that Horizon uses to store the actual silver. So there are ways to do that with a self-directed IRA, but like the collectibles, the MS70s, kind of that where we're riding that more profit thing, stuff like that is not going to be stuff. Those are more collectibles. Remember when we talk about self-directeds, there's things that are not prohibited and there's things that are prohibited. So before you just go out and start trying to buy a lot of this with your self-directed, please talk to me first so I can help you and coach you on the proper way to do that. But we absolutely can do that as well. So just thought I'd mention that as I saw the tax questions coming in. Chris, I see you drawing some stuff back there. Were you getting ready to pipe in? I know your brain gets working.
There's just been a bunch of questions about, the banking policies, especially designed and engineered whole lives. One just came through from Phoebe. They saw a YouTube video and they're asking about this. And there's a really unique strategy that we'll be teaching in our mastermind upcoming in May on this, but I'll just give it to you right now. The reason we store capital in the specially designed and engineered whole life is several reasons. Number one, uninterrupted compound interest. I can put money into this specially designed whole life and I can earn up to 6%. So it's between 5 and 6, depending on the company right now. And then I can take that money out via loans against my death benefit, and I can deploy that money without interrupting any of this interest. So imagine being able to save money and spend money without interrupting any of the interest and dividends that you earn on that original source of capital. There's nothing else in the world that does this, and that's why the wealthy use this. Secondarily, it's tax-free. So any of this interest is tax-free. And I promise I'm going to tie this back to gold. Give me a second, because I just want to make sure Phoebe gets what he needs, or he or she gets what they need. And the other thing too, we just were on the phone with a family office that we're going to start working with. You'll hear from them soon. And a family office is usually only reserved for very high net worth individuals. And the family office started working with us because they saw me speak in California and they said, holy crap, our clients need what you guys do and you guys are the experts. And I said, yeah. And I said, what's the biggest thing that you like about this? Clearly he likes the uninterrupted compound interest, but the biggest thing he said is right in the name: private. Privatized banking. No reporting at the end of the year. No government knocking on your door saying, hey, how much money you got in that stupid whole life policy? None of that. Private. So now let's just talk about gold and this membership and buying and dollar cost averaging. How's a good way to do this? The one thing I would not suggest you do is put money into the whole life, take loans out, and directly buy gold. Okay, let's just say you did that. You took the loan out and you bought gold, because gold doesn't produce an income. Gold is a great long-term storage of wealth, and it's a great hedge and all these things we're talking about, but it does not create an income stream because there's no dividends, there's no interest, so there's no recapture. And with the banking system, the infinite banking concept, we always want money flowing back to your policy. Remember, it's a circle. Money starts on the left, moves to the right, and then comes back to the left. So all the money that you ever spend, invest, or do anything with ends up back in your bank, not Visa, not Discover, not Bank of America, the bank of whatever your name is. So if you just bought gold, we wouldn't have this recapture. So here's how I'd suggest to do it. If you've got an entity, I don't care if it's an LLC or something, and if you don't, I got to just ask, where have you been? Like, how come you haven't set up a company yet? Like, because there's a lot of good things like tax advantages for that. What I would do is I would then loan the money to my company. So you take out the loan, let's just call it, I don't know, let's start small, $5,000. You had $5,000 in your policy, you take $5,000 out. You lend that $5,000 to your company. Now, I don't care what the interest rate is. I charge 6%. So I charge my company 6%. And then what I do is I then go buy gold, precious metals, or silver, and my company, through its operations, pays me back at a rate of 6% interest. That rate could be 5, that rate could be 4. Again, you're the bank, you control the interest rate, but now what you've done is you've turned on this recapture by allowing your company to put the money back into your policy, which you control, which is private, which is tax-free, and now you've completed the circle. So that's just a really good way to do it. I just want to bring that into the mix because I know some people are thinking privatized banking, infinite banking, what does this have to do with that? This is just another source where your money can go to work for you. But at gold, I would just suggest running it through your company and lending the money to your company. That's all.
Yeah. And if you need a company, this is a perfect thing. I mean, because you can literally use the membership as your way of starting a company to be able to run all this through it. And you're going to get all the tax benefits of having a company. You're going to be able to, start writing off everything, check with your CPA. But by God, when I'm in South Carolina this weekend, when I'm in Park City skiing next week, when I'm in San Diego, hanging out with Chris in 2 weeks, everything I do is going to be a write-off for one of my companies legally 100%, because I'm either going to be talking consulting with IBC, or I'm going to be talking real estate deals, or I'm going to be talking gold and silver investing. But no matter what the conversation is, there's a way for that to happen. So it's a beautiful thing. It kind of comes full circle. What do you got, Tony?
Hey, Tony, were you going to talk about, I don't know if you're muted, but how there might be tax advantages to your precious metals as well?
Well, on the tax part of it, again, part of the education part is that they educate you that when it comes to precious metals, that's what is called reportable and non-reportable. Okay, and the laws that were put in place were all put in place in the late 1970s. So there are certain metals that you can actually purchase, and again, still get with your tax professional, and what is called non-reportable, and because they were the major reason why they would start being minted after the certain laws of being reportable was in place. There are certain metals that if you purchase them from us or anybody else, there's a form that they have to fill out. The government knows you have those particular metals. But since the Silver Eagle started being minted in 1986, the Canadian Maple, 1983, the Philharmonic in the 1980s, as well as the Chinese Panda in 1983, they are what is called non-reportable. So on those, I mean, you can purchase those, and there's no reporting as far as you purchasing those particular metals. But again, when it comes to the tax part of it, because we're not financial advisors, I just tell you to get with your tax professional. But for those of you that don't want the government knowing everything you have, we definitely encourage you to get the non-reportable stuff.
Yeah, excellent. So, all right. So you guys have been doing in this business now for a while. What do you see, like, who's coming to you buying precious metals? Like, do you see most people that are looking to diversify from the stock market right now? Or is it people just trying to add a little bit in their portfolios? Are you starting to see more of a push right now as the stock market bubbles? Or what are you guys seeing in the business, just generally speaking? I'm just curious.
Chris, why don't you take that one, man?
All right. Well, I tell you what we see here is a real variety. And, it's not one specific area that people are looking at coming into precious metals. We've got people from, 18 years old all the way up to, I got people that are 83, 84, 85 on my team. And it doesn't matter where they are. It's the key is that if a person has some sort of education of why it's important to own precious metals, then those are the people that are interested in what we're doing. And that's really what we're doing as a part of 7K, is helping to educate people. If we can educate them on, again, why it's important to own precious metals, why it's important to own collectibles, why it's important to diversify, these are the people that are interested in what we're doing.
Yeah, it's good. And you know, one of the things that I really like, I'll kind of put on my screen real fast just to show everybody an example. You know, somebody's asking if we're coming to New York City anytime soon. I mean, you know, Naugle is in Buffalo, so just north of you. We don't do a lot in the New York City right now just because of some of the various restrictions and mandates and things that they have as far as live events go. But we do have a mastermind. I think we're doing one in this summer up in Buffalo, right, Chris? And then, you know, Scott and Tony and this whole team, if you guys end up joining me, they do lots of trainings on precious metals and, you know, ongoing trainings, and they do some live events as well on this side. So I think, Scott, you guys might be in Jersey coming up sometime soon.
Yes, we have like what we call a Super Saturday, which is a combination of training and introduction. So somebody who doesn't know anything, they can bring people to see what it's about or learn themselves. And then we have an ongoing training following that. So it's like a whole day on Saturday. Tony, I believe, knows the dates that those are coming, but I think it would be better if people email you directly about that. We can get them that info if they want it.
Yeah, once you're part of the team, I mean, you're invited to all this stuff. So it's just a matter of getting on the membership, and I'll send you guys the details so you can join, and we'll get you guys started. But just to give you a quick idea, I mean, this is the training center that you come into. And, you know, I started to go through some of this the other day, but there's a whole certification training. You can learn all about how the MS-70s work. So they have the buyer certification training, the collector certification training, some of the business side of things. But this buyer certification and this collector certification, I started watching some of them just yesterday for the first time, and I can't wait to go through them. I mean, it's unbelievable, just the experience and what these guys have put together on an education side. So I really like that part of it. And we do have, just so you guys know, anybody that does become a member and starts, you know, buying precious metals this way, we do have a bunch of promotional stuff for you. So the links that I'm going to send you to get a membership, one of them is going to be a promo link and one of them is going to be an MSTV link. And these are going to give you a bunch of bonuses and a bunch of special content and trainings that otherwise you wouldn't be receiving through 7K. So it's just kind of one of the things that we've always done through Money School, and that we do is, as we build our teams, we always bring you guys on and kind of make you part of the family. And those of you that are joining us in Utah next week for the experience, I mean, you know better than anybody, we treat our clients like friends and family, and that's really what this is all about. And that's why I love, you know, Scott, that I've known you for so many years. I mean, we haven't talked in 10 years, but we did business together back then. You know, Jesse, that reintroduced me to you. I've done, I mean, I can't even tell you how many deals and businesses I've been involved with her over the years. I mean, Chris Naugle, ironically, Jesse's who introduced me initially to Greg Hurley, and who introduced me to you. So it's kind of a small circle how it all, Jesse's who brought me to Scott and these guys. So it's just kind of a small circle how it all comes back together, and it's a small world, and just why the reputation is so important. I mean, before I brought these guys on and got involved myself with this, I literally spent, I mean, Scott, I probably talked to you back in October for the first time, and I didn't come on board till the beginning of the year. So, you know, I really take a lot of time. I don't jump into things just willy nilly, but when I do, I go all in, and I love so far what I've seen. And some of the coins that, you know, I've been getting are just, I mean, I wish I could show you guys these closer. They really are so cool.
Yeah, you know, it's fun and they're pretty, but I think there's another issue is every now and then people ask, well, what if I want to sell? How do I sell those collectible coins? Do I have to go to a coin dealer down the street? And so I've seen one or two of those pop up in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and mention a comment about that. Is if you're buying, let's say, graded coins, professionally graded. We use NGC, which is the largest coin grading service there is and the most well respected. And we even have one of their vice presidents that have designed special coins for 7K. We can print through our connections with the mints dedicated coins that only members can get. And the question also pops up, well, how, if I have a coin that only 7K members get, how do I sell it to the general public? Well, there's a website that we use specifically that is opens it up to everybody, whether it be a member of 7K. Oh, look at that. See, that one's just awesome. If you were to look up like a Nevada state coin, that's an example of one that's only made by and for 7K. But they're in limited quantities, like 7,000 of them. So that puts value on them for people who want to collect, and more people are starting to, there's millions, literally millions of coin collectors out there. There's no shortage of buyers for MS70 graded coins, whether they be silver eagles, whether they be gold eagles, whether they be an old Morgan dollar, but they want them because they're rare and collectible. So we list them on a website, and anybody, anywhere can see these, and people will make an offer to pay the price you're asking. It's kind of like, for lack of a better comparison, it's like a buy it now button on eBay. And the difference being that there's no fees to the seller for that. So the buyer would pay like $12 fee to have the coin neutrally inspected by a third party to make sure that it is the coin they're buying, a third party service. Then there's the shipping to get you the coin. So maybe that's 10, 15 bucks. And so that's a minor fee, but the buyer pays that. Well, if the buyer's getting the coin at what they consider a great value, if you work in that extra $25, they still are getting a bargain on the coin. But the seller is still getting more than they paid. There are many of these coins, like the one you just held up. Some of these coins are selling for double, triple, quadruple that what they were selling for, and there's history of the sales, so you know it's actually happening. And these are happening daily, and you can see the history, you can see the prices, and you can see them going up. Tony bought a coin, and I don't want to toot his own bell for too much or ring his bell, but he bought it last year. It was a very special coin. I'm not going to say what it was because people will say, how do I get it? And it's already sold. But he paid $400 for this specific kind of coin. And it was more than an ounce, believe me. But it was MS70 and very collectible, and it just recently sold for $1,650 less than a year later. So you're looking at a 400% return in a year. And then another sale just happened for $2,000 of the very same coin. So these collectibles are leveraging your money faster than anything, and some people are just playing the game for profit. Now, me, no. I buy, but I tend not to sell. I tend to hold. Why? Because financially I'm doing fine, and as long as I can pay my bills, we're good. But my kids, who knows? Wouldn't they like to have, an MS70 coin that I bought once a single month, like Chris Latin was talking about, and give them something worth $1.6 million that I've been collecting over 35 years, and they would appreciate that. I sure wish my parents had done something for that, and your viewers certainly could do that for their loved ones as well. So there's lots of options in that regard.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so we're we got about 5-10 minutes left or so. So I kind of go around. Chris, any Chris Latin, any anything else you'd like to kind of add or share with everybody?
Just on that story that Scott was just talking about, talking about that website that we have, and it's open to everyone. Anyone can use this website to buy these collectors coins, and it's a way that we can sell them. And it's also a way we can keep an inventory. I'll give you a quick example, very similar to Tony's experience. We've had these coins, the Roman series that just came out in the last year. So less than a year old, this coin is. So this was the first one in the series. This is called the Julius Caesar coin of the Roman series. And I have a couple sets. All right. But to round out my third set, I needed the Caesar coin. And I found this on the Stack and Sell, the website that we use. And it originally sold for $349. I bought this for $750. It now sells for over $1,200. And again, this is a coin less than a year old. that we're talking about. And this is the leverage. This is the power that we have being a part of this company. This is the power that we have of being educated on an asset that Robert Kiyosaki talks about, Mike Maloney, all these guys that talk about owning precious metals.
Yeah. Somebody's just asking, what if the internet, shuts down? Where can I sell my coins? But the better question is, if the internet crashes, how are you going to access your credit cards, your cash out of the bank, ATM machines? It makes sense to have something that's tradable, that's barterable, and that you can actually do something with if the end does come that far, right? But so you could say that about everything. I just thought that's an interesting comment there. And that's where the value of some of them do come in, because, the bullion, hey, maybe I could trade this to, so I can get some food, but maybe this coin, everybody knows this one's worth more money. So maybe I trade this to get a new car, or whatever the case is. When you go to a barter system, that's how it works, guys. That's how it works. And I'm not going to talk doomsday. I don't think we'll ever get there, but just to comment on that question there.
Yeah, I mean, it basically just comes down to a simple thing is, we've all heard it, diversification. Diversify your asset classes. Different assets do different things to protect you, to create incomes for you, and to solve different money problems that you have. And everybody has different money problems, but I will tell you, all of us, every single one of us, from the multi-billionaire down to the person that's literally scraping just to buy bread, every one of us has a money problem. Gold, precious metals, silver, what we're talking about, solves one of those problems, maybe several of those problems. But just like everything else, whether it's infinite banking concept, gold, maybe some of you love stocks, which I just right now can't quite understand that one at this present moment. Whatever your choice is, every one of them has a place in a diversified portfolio. And when most people hear diversification, they think, oh yeah, I have a 401k and it's diversified. It's 60% stocks, 40% bonds. That's hogwash. That's a lie. Diversification through asset classes, real estate and gold and silver and alternate, loans and first position loans. And I can just keep going down, that is diversification. So don't get caught up into thinking your diversification is your advisor that told you, oh, let's buy some small caps, some mid caps, some large caps. Let's sprinkle in some international. Oh yeah, maybe we'll put a little bit of those bonds in there. That is a very, very minute piece of diversification. So there is no silver bullet. There is no one thing that solves all problems. I seem to find ourselves, Stephen and I find ourselves getting in, I don't want to call them arguments, but debates on a daily basis of people trying to say that their one thing is the end all be all. There is no one silver bullet. You need a piece of a lot of different things to be successful and to be wealthy. And the difference between those that are rich, which are those that think that their product is the one and only, that's rich, okay? They will be broke. The difference between rich and wealthy is the wealthy have figured out how to keep their money. They don't give it back. Gold, silver, precious metals is a major piece to that equation of building long-standing wealth and having it be generational and providing legacy. So I just wanted to kind of hit that one right on the head, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I need that one thing. Good luck. Doesn't exist. It's one thing for lots of different problems put together into a comprehensive wealth strategy that gets you where you want to be. And yours is different than Stephen's, which is different than mine, which is different than Tony's and Chris's and Scott's and everybody else on it. So figure out your strategy that solves your problem and then move forward with it. Stop going around asking everybody, oh, what do you think? They don't know. Only you know how to solve your money problem. And if you don't know, well, that's what we're here for. Spend time getting around the campfire and doing things like what we just did, so you can learn those pieces, and then you can come to the conclusion of how you build your wealth strategy.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. We're putting up tons of them, but I think if you like this one, you'll probably like that video as well. Click that alert button, actually smash that alert button, and you'll be notified every time we put a new video. So we'll see you on the next episode.